My vision is where, audiences can access any content with a touch of a button. I feel the future is one where the strength of our product would speak for itself, and that we would be able to, lead with a brand that was recognizable.
Welcome to Future of Fandom, the podcast where leagues, teams, and federations learn how to turn passive viewers into loyal superfans through gamification, loyalty, and next-gen engagement. Let's build what's next together.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Future of Fandom. Today, I'm very happy to welcome a good mate from the industry and somebody that we've been meeting for a long time at LiveLike. Great to have you here, Andy.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me.
I usually like my guests to do the little intro of themselves before I start doing it wrong. So please introduce yourself to our audience.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah. So Andy Meikle, I'm the founder and CEO of Recast. I previously founded a company called Sport Lobster, which I often refer to as my apprenticeship in the world of sport and media, which was a fascinating journey and led to the concept of Recast being born and everything we've done since then. So that's a bit about me.
Yeah, and diving into Sport Lobster, you built and sold Sport Lobster. Tell us a little bit about this experience, what you were doing over there, and what got you on the route of creating Recast afterwards.
Yeah, well, I've always been quite entrepreneurial, and so I decided to bring that entrepreneurism to my passion of sport when I founded Sport Lobster. Really, as a frustrated fan with having to go to different apps and websites on a daily basis to get my updates based on what my interests were across sports. So, for those who are not aware, Sport Lobster was a sports social network where fans could pick their preferences and then get personalized access to stats, news, scores. You could make predictions or picks, as they call them on the other side of the pond, in private leagues or public leagues. But at the heart of it, you were socially interacting with other fans. So you could jump from the NBA fan zone to the Lewis Hamilton fan zone or the Man City fan zone, and whether it was on match day or not, you were just able to post your opinion and chat away with others and such. So yeah, we certainly experienced the challenges of building a platform and a destination, and learned a lot of lessons around how to maximize engagement and how to drive audiences into a place. Some people are aware that we did that by kicking off an earlier the influencer strategy is known these days, and I brought on board Cristiano Ronaldo in 2013, going into 2014 to be our brand ambassador, one of the sort of first athlete influencer deals. So that helped send a few people to the platform as well.
Very nice. And so you moved from creating a B2B platform to going B2B2C, the D2C platform and you went to B2B2C in some kind of way. So what made you move from a Sport Lobster to the Recast concept, knowing that we'll go through the journey of Recast, but to the Recast concept of 2018?
I mean, one of the things that if we look at Sport Lobster, what we did, going back to the challenge with it, anybody has with a platform is how do you get an audience there, right? So that's why we brought on board the likes of Ronaldo and other formed other partnerships, the NBA, the NFL, exclusive content on the platform, and then promoting that off platform, driving audience in. Like I said, fans would then pick their preferences. And all of the things that we built into the platform were to heighten engagement, increase dwell time, get them coming back more often. So you could pick what notifications you wanted to receive, whether it was when your team scored a try or at halftime. Naturally, the predictor game meant that people were coming in on a frequent basis to make the predictions and check the leaderboard with friends and so on and so forth. And so it was throughout that journey that I recognized the challenges of getting people to a platform, but also how you need to ensure that you're converting them, how you're retaining them, how do you increase the dwell time, as I just touched on. So I felt that it was inevitable, considering we were capturing all that data and driving all that engagement, that actually rights owners themselves should form a direct consumer relationship, and they should be the ones that are capturing that data and forming a stronger relationship with those fans. But also in parallel, having been really sort of my first step into the industry of sport was where I started to learn about the impact that shifting consumption and payments patterns were having on the traditional broadcasting model. And so combining those two things, I felt it was inevitable and absolutely necessary for everybody to form a direct consumer relationship. And knowing that many organizations perhaps are challenged by sort of the budgets of that, how to build the platform, how to acquire the audience, and maintain and retain that audience. but also knowing that if everybody goes direct to consumer and throws up their own platform, then actually it compounds the problem that led them to want to go or have to go direct to consumer in the first place. And so I set out to create a platform that aggregates that content with Recast, should we call it 1.0,
Yeah.
which was Recast TV, a destination. And that's where rights owners could launch a channel and then monetize both on demand and live content through pay-per-view transactions, microtransactions, call it what you will. But that all happened within that environment within Recast TV.
And that was the vision from the very start of Recast version 1.0 to like build a full end-to-end environment? Or did you originally want to be integrated on the platforms of your partners, but didn't have a chance to go that far in the collaboration with them?
No, initially the vision was to aggregate this into one destination. Of course, that's evolved now, and we've sunsetted that. Recast TV no longer exists. We're, have moved on to focus on the payment technology that we developed within that environment. Because on Recast TV, when fans joined, and there's certainly crossover and experience. My experience from Sport Lobster carries into Recast TV, where users could pick their preferences and they could just jump from channel to channel, the Man City channel to the Importer channel or the Discovery channel, and access what they wanted. But when they joined Recast TV, they got a wallet. The wallet was you could prepay as in top it up, and also you could earn value into the wallet. So if you watched an ad, you got credits. If you shared your first or zero party data, you got credits. And if you promoted content, let's say I see a clip from Man City and I sent it to you and you watch it, I would get value into my wallet as well. So it was really the whole purpose of creating the platform in the way that we did was to try to remove friction as much as possible and make it as easy for people to dip in and out of what they wanted without having to subscribe to a platform or to subscribe to a specific channel, and using the balance in their wallets, whether earned or purchased, they could just pay for what they wanted when they wanted, and that value would go and directly to who the media owner was that was obviously making that content available on the rules that they set, at the price that they wanted and such. So
It's interesting because we kind of lived the same story, right? At LiveLike, we pivoted as well on a product that the
oh
market seemed to appreciate and where like we had great feedbacks and where we were very trendy, right, in VR. And it's funny because it feels like a little bit like you, we isolated the fact that gamification and engagement was working in VR. It was just a medium that wasn't working. So we decided, hey, how do we take that and actually implement that in the workflows of our partners? And but the pivot was like particularly hard. Like it's complicated. What did you learn both on your product, on your original vision, on the fact of pivoting? Like what were the takeaways for you from moving from the Recast 1.0 to the Recast as we know it now?
yeah, well, I can't remember who I'm quoting here, but first time founders, what is it, focus on product, and second time founders focus on distribution, right? So or obsessed, I think, with products and then obsessed with distribution. So we're obsessed with this product, this platform, this destination, and then we're thinking about actually how do we take the strengths of this solution out to the market, and to meet audiences and consumers where they are. We were starting to move towards that evolution, but the truth is that the evolution happened more as it was sort of forced upon us. We went through a very challenging 2023, and then that sort of led to pivoting and taking the technology forward in the way that it did. So yeah, that's where we brought it back to market at the tail end of last year, and now being a fintech platform that plugs into partners' apps and websites, and taking the strength of the solution to where the content and the audiences already reside, rather than the challenge of trying to get content and audiences to come to our platform. Conversations change, right? When you're speaking to rights owners, Recast TV, and you want to bring the content in, then naturally it turns into a licensing conversation. You want my content on your platform. You want me to promote this to my audiences and send them to a third-party platform. And I think that considering how fragmented the whole sort of platform landscape is, and how consumers move so fluidly from platform to platform, but bounce, particularly when they hit a subscription paywall, taking all sort of those learnings, that's where we felt that actually, let's take this as a tool, an enabler, which is what it is, and make it as frictionless as possible for one, our partners to integrate that into their existing infrastructure to unlock value, whether it's through different touch points and engagement through microtransactions, or whether it's through accessing content on a pay-per-view basis. Either way, we take that to where the audiences are, and where the content already resides. And the way that we've built out the solution now um, unlocks even further greater potential, because you can actually take that item and the smart paywall, as we call it, with all the business rules around entitlement to access that content, that can be syndicated out. That content can live anywhere, and the revenue finds its way back to partners instantly on every single transaction.
And so if we had to simplify it, what would be the 1 minute kind of elevator pitch of what problems you help organizations solve, right? Like if you had to like go in a room and have a 1 minute pitch to people, like what are you helping them solve and create for themselves?
Yeah, so what we do is we enable businesses and indeed individuals to sell access to any digital content or asset on a pay-per-view basis at any price that they determine anywhere online. And the way that we do that is that they can put a smart paywall in front of any item. So let's say it was a football match. I'm half Scottish, half Chilean. I'll use Chile versus Scotland, right? Let's say it's Chile v Scotland, and they may sell the rights, in certain territories, but that's not accessible to consumers elsewhere. And so you want to make it as accessible as possible, but there being an exchange of value as well. That's a product that's worth something, right? And people are willing to pay. The challenge we have that we've experienced in the industry is that with everybody being forced to, find different ways to go direct to consumer when they're not getting the same B2B deals that they once did, is that the landscape, in fact, becomes more fragmented, and it's more we're actually compounding the problem that led many rights owners to go direct to consumer in the first place by throwing a subscription paywall up. So the smart paywall that they can use with Recast means that they write the business rules of entitlement for that item into the paywall, and those rules follow the item wherever it may go. So let's say it's Chile against Scotland, and you could say, okay, it's $2 pay per view, and you could geo price if you want. You could say it's not going to be available in Chile and in the UK because the rights have been sold there exclusively. And we want a revenue share agreement. We want Chile to take 50% and Scotland to take 50% on every transaction. And the distribution of value on every transaction happens in real time. But where the real power sits is within the affiliate and syndication engine. It's where you can set an affiliate percentage on that paywall. And that means two things. Going back to leveraging athletes to drive an audience into a destination, it means that players, fans, influencers, anybody can promote that item. And for every viewer they refer, they will get a cut of the transaction instantly. But also, arguably more powerful is the ability for those rules to stay and to maintain when that content's been syndicated out. So rather than it being exclusively behind one subscription paywall, put it on the Mail Online, the Sporting News, Goal.com, Football.com, whatever. Put it everywhere. Why not? Because you centrally control the rules of entitlement and access to that content. And as a fintech platform, when the payment is made, either through our wallet, Recast Pay, or through others' existing infrastructure, those rules are followed and revenue split in real time. And so really it's enabling those rights owners to meet audiences where they are, remove friction to access, but unlock revenue in the click of a button, and that being distributed to all associated parties instantly.
And so to finish this example, right? In this scenario, though, for Chile versus Scotland, you would have to have an agreement with the distribution provider to say, hey, do distribute that content to Sporting News, who would be allowed to play the content on their video platform. And you would be the gateway to say, hey, there's money that's going to go back to everyone, but Sporting News is going to take a percentage of the cut for being the distributor in that scenario.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so whoever owns the rights is obviously the one that's able to set the rules on those rights, and like you're saying, determine who the permitted third parties are that can carry that content. And it can be anything, by the way. I talk about content. It could be merchandise. It can
Merchandising.
be anything. It's a smart paywall in front of any product. And so yes, the IP owner, whoever holds those rights, it can then grant permission to third parties like the Sporting News. And there's no contract needed between them. I mean, you don't need to go and form a contract with hundreds of different distribution partners or however many you want to use. They don't need to offer a minimum guarantee. They don't need to license the rights, which obviously works well for many in the current landscape, and as the challenges of subscription fatigue and the challenge of scaling advertising revenues becomes increasingly apparent. So yeah, they give permission to those third parties. Really simple to plug and play for, let's say, the sporting news in this example. The fan clicks to purchase, and either through Recast Pay, our wallet that plugs into their environment, or through their own existing infrastructure, basically a call was made and the rules are followed instantly, and the sporting news get their cut. Chile and Scottish FAs get their cut, and any other parties that may have been tagged in the rules of that smart paywall.
Interesting, and that's in the context of more like the solving for issues of the video distribution industry. But I think it's super interesting also when you take it at the club level, right? To be able to say, okay, what are the challenges of the club that you're helping solve, and how you are actually that layer in front of all those digital touch points to enhance the microtransactions. And I think that one of the things that is interesting is that while a lot of those concepts have been used to try to make more money out of the fans, it feels like there is a way by doing it right and not like putting too fancy technology on top of it, of creating more opportunities for the fans in different ways. Can you give us examples of like when you think of a recast deployment at a club level, how would you use it if you were the product owner on the other side?
Oh wow, how long have we got here? So, so I think that any organization across sport really, the like data needs to sit at the heart of everything they do, and creating those touch points, kind of similar to what I was talking about with Sport Lobster. So whether it's through the users or the fans, the audiences, letting them know, the club or the organization know what their preferences are, how they want to be contacted, what they like, but also what are their how are they engaging? What are they reading? When are they buying tickets? What are they watching? And I feel that actually that the way in which that data is captured should also be closely tied to a ledger. Essentially, it's like a ledger of engagements, right, and touch points. And that ledger associated, let's call it a wallet, means that actually there can be an exchange of value at any given point. So I feel that there should always be a movement of value, or for the most part, it could be that when I go to the club website and I engage, whether it's through a gamification tool or I read an article or whatever it may be, that I should be rewarded. I should receive some value, right? But also when I want to access something, whether it's then to enter a quiz or to play a game, or whether it is to access a behind the scenes video or to watch a preseason match, or whatever it may be, that there should be an exchange of value as well. And so I feel that whether it is tickets, merchandise, content, in stadium sort of purchases, no matter what the fan or the audience that they're doing, data has got to be at the heart of forming that relationship with the consumer. And by doing so, you create more frequent touch points. And by creating more frequent touch points, you create more opportunities to monetize. And those opportunities to monetize are only made possible through micropayments. You can't, and I'm not. It's not to say that advertising and subscriptions aren't important revenue streams to drive. They are,
Yeah.
but you have to drive a hybrid model, and particularly with how fluid consumers move from platform to platform and item to item, and the way that they engage these days. There is an opportunity to create a very thin layer of monetization that sits atop of any of those touch points. And when you accumulate that over the course of the year and all of the regular touch points with those fans, then it amounts to a significant amount of money, and it all adds up. So that's how I feel that organizations should be primarily focused on building out the relationship with their audiences, and motivating them also to be advocates for the products as well, which once again is sort of it's built into Recast. If I see something I like it and I send it to you, Sam, why don't I get something for that, right? And also
Yeah.
the club should know that I'm an advocate for them. Like that's important, and so I should be recognized for that. And then how great if I could use that value to spend to get access of more of what I want for the club that I support, creating a virtuous and cycle really for everybody involved.
How do you overcome that resistance, right? Because there's an element of, I know that on our side at least, it is hard to make people move from an industry. If we think the broadcast industry, it's Evan, right? They were selling the rights and they were getting upfront money. Clubs were happy because they got money before the start of the season. That was like minimum guarantee. They're less happy about the unsecurity of what a pay-per-view or a payment as we go model might look like. What are the resistances that you get when you go to speak to the different stakeholders of the sports industry and moving from short term, everybody knows how it kind of works, there's a standard price on the market, to I get it, let's try it and let's go to the bottom of it, not only because we want to generate more revenue, but because we think that with this technology we can actually provide something that the fans are missing.
Well, I think if we take a step back, and I've touched on it a little bit, but I'll revisit, and for those, I'm sure everybody in the industry is well aware of this, but anybody who who may be not familiar, right? The reality is that, like you said, what one would do is package up their rights and sell that product to a broadcaster. Great, deal done. And then to try to extract maximum value, of course, those rights were chopped up and sold to different broadcasters, let's say in different regions. And what that did was obviously accelerate subscription fatigue. There's more fragmentation. Now I need to go here to watch my rugby. Now I need to go here to watch football. In fact, now I need to go here and here and here to watch football. So it's all being spread out across different platforms, right? And so as a result of that, it actually, once again, compounded the problem of subscription fatigue, which led to those buyers of the rights getting to the point where they are now, and then will increasingly continue to be so, which is they're not sure if they can take the risk on buying those rights because they're not confident they're going to get the return. And that is all because of, once again, the fans are being spread thinner. And so, as a result of that, those deals are not coming the way of the rights owners like they once did. I mean, there's obviously a handful that are at the very top of the pyramid who continue to do well, but even some of those have peaked and on their way down. And so, coming back out of that, which is an irreversible trend, by the way, there's nowhere else to go, particularly considering, so many more individuals are becoming content creators themselves, and sport is competing with every other form of content and genre of content and forms of engagement and so on. So, you're battling for attention. And the reality is, if you spread, let's say, your content, but it's all behind subscription paywalls, then it's going to be harder to access. So with those rights deals becoming less frequent, rights owners have to go direct to consumer. And many has sort of, the knee-jerk reaction was, well, throw up an OTT platform and throw up my own subscription offering, right? My own subscription paywall. And that just, again, actually adds to the problem that led them there in the first place. So again, this is a vicious cycle. It's irreversible. So how do you go about meeting those audiences? How do you make it as flexible for them to be able to access? But how do you meet them, right? And it's all well and good to like put it on like social media platforms, but there's no exchange of value, there's no data, and nobody's motivated to promote your product. Whereas at least if there is an exchange of value, then you can motivate the sporting news to carry the content because they're going to generate a share of transaction as well. And so this trend, these trends that we're experiencing, the industry is shifting. They're going through this sort of shift of B to B to D to C, and we always encourage those that we are speaking with to just get started. Right, test and learn. Start with the market. Start with certain content, and let the data speak for itself. And then beyond that, look at the ways in which you're engaging with your audiences. How do you leverage the audiences and the athletes to drive awareness and promotion of your products, and remove friction to an exchange of value? So we always encourage our partners to take a step back and be like, look at the trends. There's only one place this is going, and it's not the direction of where we've been. Okay, and whether you want to start now or you wait, you can lead a horse to water, but they'll get there in their own time. And so we say, look, get started with certain markets, get started with certain content. The data speaks for itself, and then they're in a good position to be able to use our configurable tool, and many of the great tools that are out there, to switch on and off in certain markets and switch on and off certain forms of engagement with fans and audiences and capture data, so that it is really flexible and configurable on how they're going to unlock the full revenue potential, which I think that, despite the fact that the industry from a B2B perspective has obviously grown over the years, I think there's enormous growth ahead. I'm really bullish on the potential, if those rights owners basically align with how consumption and payment patterns have now evolved.
And speaking of data, and it's not data backed, my question, but data being important. Younger generations definitely spend more on microtransactions, right? Like that's part of their everyday type of consumption, whether it's on games, whether it's on cell phones. Like, younger generations are much more subject to microtransactions. The number of stories, like at our age, of parents who tell me, "Oh, I just realized from an Apple bill that all of a sudden my son was spending X amount of euros on microtransactions that I had no clue and that I had to control afterwards." On your side, where Recast is deployed, what are the typologies of people that use casts the most? Is it the younger generations? Is it the older generations spending on Recast casts for their kids? Like, what was the typology of buyers?
Yeah, by the way, CAS. So CAS credits are the name that we're giving our own sort of credits and currency within Recast Pay. We actually just been referring to them to credits. We've now having more conversations about how we can brand them up, right? So imagine being able to get Chelsea credits or something,
So,
right?
so I'm using the old marketing terms, is what you're saying, gently.
That's all right. That's all right. We've obviously got to do a better job of promoting the new names, right? So those credits, it is certainly more native to younger audiences who are used to engaging and earning and performing actions and receiving value and then spending through micropayments, etc., etc. Certainly, parents would be pleased to know that Recast Pay operates as a sort of prepaid wallet, so the bill doesn't surprise them at the end. They throw on $20 worth of buy $20 worth of credits, and then and let them make use of that, or let them engage and earn more of it. But when you strip it right back, and as I touched on before, we've created a smart paywall. So it doesn't actually really matter the age of and the demographics of our audience, in the sense that when someone wants to access something, as long as the user interface, the user experience is clean and simple, it's pretty straightforward. You're just buying something online, and people buy things online every day. All demographics buy things online all day. Now, the difference would be the way in which um, audiences, shall we say, uh, take advantage of the opportunity, which is younger audiences will share their data, they will engage more, they will do the things to receive the value that they then can put towards purchasing stuff. Whereas, understandably, an older demographic is going to be like, I'm just going to buy this. Like, I'm not going to do all these sort of things. But that is sort of quite a sort of two-dimensional view as well. And I think it comes back to the product, because the reality is that I believe, and it's certainly possible with the right products in place, that engagement and being rewarded for engagement should be invisible, or ideally would be invisible. You do something. It's like when you're playing, let's say, a video game. Some people will play the video game to do certain things, to unlock certain trophies, to unlock certain levels, and they will play into that gamification. And other people would just play the game. You'll just play FIFA or whatever, and then it'll be like ding, and you'll do something and you'll get a reward, and you're like, oh, I don't even know what happened there. Fine, it's not stopping me from playing the game. I'm still playing the game, but some people will play the game to unlock those rewards. So younger demographics will engage more purposefully to receive value, to reduce their consumption costs, and the way in which they access any other items and products. Whereas, obviously, considering it's more likely that an older demographic with the means, and who are not necessarily so used to such gamification, they just want to click and buy, and so need to make it as seamless as possible for everybody.
Yeah, it's a Candy Crush approach. You go up 20 levels, you either fight through the 21st level that they deliberately make complicated, or you pay to go through it according to your means, and you trigger different types of behaviors. But it is interesting because the in terms of model, this is really something that works very well in the gaming industry, and people are willing to pay if you actually create it in the smart way, where it's not only a where it doesn't only feel like a win for your organization implementing it, but where it also feels like a win for them. And in terms of your future journey, right? So you just raised 5 million in seed investment, but you have raised overall 24 million dollars. Like, help us understand where you're at with your journey. What are you investing that new money in to achieve your goals?
Yeah, we've been on a bit of a journey. I'll give you sort of the shortened version, shall we say. I mean, talk about 2023 being a challenging year. I mean, so like I said, the business was founded in 2018. 2019 raised some initial capital, and in 2020 we went live with Recast TV. Within 30 months, I'd raised over 20 million into the business, and the majority coming from one group, who offered to acquire us in 2023, and it was a handsome 9-figure sum, and they were a great strategic partner, and so naturally we it was attractive to us, and we moved forward with it. 4 months later, at the table to sign the paperwork, they said, "Oh, we need to talk about the number at the moment. We've can't deploy this right now, etc." So there was it was a very challenging period, as you can imagine, and they offered to invest further capital to see us through to the acquisition and the deal that we wanted to get done. But I think people in the industry may be aware the money never landed. So in 2023, at short notice, I pulled in Interpath Advisory, restructuring advisors, and tried to salvage the business. But we were insolvent, and the the situation was so complicated that new investors weren't willing to come in, and the whole thing was a bit of a mess. So I had no choice. I had to put the business into administration, and let go of all the staff, which was horrific, and turn the platform off that was already serving hundreds of rights owners. But within a week, I bought the IP, the technology that we had developed, having raised funds from Ed Woodward's, Gavin Peck, and a few individuals, and bought that into a new vehicle. And that's when I said, look, why don't we take this forward in a different way? We've created a destination before. We've got a tool. Why don't we take that tool to across the internet? And that's where last year raised a Series Seed round, which is kind of strange when you've been on a what's it now, 6-7 year journey, and grown to a 9-figure valuation through various rounds of funding and an offer, to then be at Series Seed, and like restarting. But that was led by Morpheus Ventures out of LA, and Cooley. They invested the law firm, and that allowed us to just change the way in our what our product was, and we brought that back to market. And so that that 5 million plus round last year enabled us to build out the technology in the way that we have, so that whether it's a simple code snippet to embed your item and your content, and the smart paywall in front of it onto your platform, or whether it's through our API, these are the things that we've been building out, so that partners, rights owners, and across beyond sport as well, TV, film, music, podcasts, anybody with any piece of content, any digital asset, is now able to to take that smart paywall and put it in front of their item, integrate into their existing infrastructure, and do all the things that I've touched on before. And so the funding that we've raised has been primarily for the product, to evolve it into what it is now and where it's going. We've launched our inventory API, which means that people can sell what they want, as I touched on. And then we've got our rewards API, which means that you can tap into creating your own sort of configurable triggers, where upon a solicited behavior like signing up for a newsletter or playing a game or buying a ticket, you get rewarded into your wallet. In fact, like taking the Chile Scotland game, it could be that a Coca-Cola gives you the value to access that for a discount or for free if you opt into marketing, or you share your data, or you engage with the brand. That's to come. And then, as I touched on before, other things that we're focused on as well is how we can ensure that the wallet can hold branded credits, so that wherever you go, you can use different currencies, let's say, to pay for what you want when you want, and that value instantly finds its way, including the data, back to any associated parties. So we are a tech business. We go back to Recast TV. We've started to get into the business of licensing. That's an expensive game to play, and trying to pull an audience into one platform is an expensive game to play as well. So the investment last year, and with where we're at now, is like I said, to take that to where those audiences and where the content is, and actually to almost create like the connective tissue amongst a world of sort of siloed platforms. Everybody's got the same problem. So in fact, imagine if the content can flow seamlessly from platform to platform, or IP owner to platform, and in real time the revenue is flowing back to any associated parties. That's where we see sort of the future of how the internet and the media landscape is gonna play out, and that requires a bit of investment as well, of course, to build it, that kind of tech. So.
Yeah. Two quick questions to wrap this up. What made you keep the name Recast?
So the name Recast came from was two things. One is like rebroadcasting, you're recasting something out there, and considering within Recast TV, it was about how you could promote content and pull people back in. But particularly with what Recast is today, I actually think the name's more relevant. Because you are able to syndicate out to as many different parties as you want. So you're recasting that, whether it's an athlete promoting with a link or whether it's actually the content itself has been syndicated to and hosted on a third-party platform. You're recasting that out, but also the name Recast represents the concept of melting something down and rebuilding it into a different structure. And I feel that the entire media landscape is going to go through a bit of a recast over the coming years. It has to. So despite the fact that we went through the challenges that we did in 2023 and there were questions raised and lots of people don't know the details and people make assumptions on things, but so we had to take the good, which is the brand equity that and the awareness that people had of Recast,
Yeah.
with the bad, which was people like, oh, what happened there, and
Yeah.
not many people know really all the sort of details, but we felt there was enough in it that it was recognizable and that the strength of our product would speak for itself, and that we would be able to lead with a brand that was recognizable. So stuck with the name.
Yeah, yeah. We love LiveLike, but along the way, there's still people like 4 years, 5 years later who ask us, but oh, I thought you were the company that did VR. And I'm like, pivoted a while back. And so changing the association to a brand is always
Well,
always a complicated one.
it must have been a while back because you said at the top of the call that you pivoted, and I went, "Oh, I didn't realize you pivoted." So there you go, news to me. I only know you for what you are, not what you were.
Well,
So
well, good. That's good. That
and we've
means
known each other a while, so it must have been a while ago that you pivoted.
yeah. 2019, 2020. And the last question I have is the ultimate goal to just be a wallet that allows any fan on any platform to access a piece of content through their credits, as you call them now?
Yeah, my vision is where it's audiences can access any content with a touch of a button, and it's sort of ubiquitous in the sense that if we take it once again, take a little step back, I mean, there is our wallet, but there's the infrastructure layer and the rules engine that we've built. And so whether that in fact um, supports existing wallets, other wallets, or other payment mechanisms, or goes into other infrastructure, and our rules engine is utilized for media owners to syndicate content out, and upon the transaction, the revenue to split to all associated parties in real time, or whether that happens through Recast Pay. Either way, we see a future where they're all interoperable because of them sitting upon that shared infrastructure, and therefore, whether it is a branded wallet that someone already has, and then they get to the point of utilizing credits as well, or they don't want to process micropayments, they want to stick to, let's say, $1 above. Either way, that can still run through our ledger and distribute to all parties in real time. But yeah, I feel the future is one where, particularly with once again how fans access content and how content owners need to distribute and meet audiences, I feel there's a future of sort of ubiquity, shall we say, and there's many ways in which that can be achieved. It doesn't just need to be through Recast Pay. So
Nice. Still focused on that fan experience and providing more to the fans, but making sure that everybody wins along the way. Because yeah, we are in an industry that has moving pieces, and somehow we're old schoolers that want to adapt it, but keep some of the values that we have in it. So, look, Andy, as expected, super interesting, super. Obviously, wish you the best.
thank you.
Because I do think that it will solve for some of the issues that we are currently facing in the sports industry, and it will both our technologies participate to like changing that mindset and going in the direction of where we believe it can go into based on facts. So
Absolutely.
thanks a lot for spending some time with us, and we really
Thank
wish you
you.
the best for Recast.
Thanks for inviting me on, and yeah, same with you. Cheers, Sam.
Thanks for listening to Future of Fandom. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and follow LiveLike on LinkedIn for more conversations with the people shaping what's next in the world of sports and media. Until next time, keep building for fans, not just users.